Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, a mega celebration of textiles, trade, technology and tradition. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates Bharat Tex 2024, reiterates the mantra of vocal for local and local to global. Israel, United States, Qatar and Egypt come to an understanding of basic contours of a hostage deal for temporary ceasefire in Gaza. Prime Minister Netanyahu casts doubt. India remains on course for a series-clinching victory in the fourth test at Ranchi. Need another 64 runs against England. Reaffirming India's position as a global textile powerhouse, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated Bharat Tex 2024. Drawing inspiration from the 5F vision of the Prime Minister, the event has a unified farm to foreign via fibre, fabric and fashion focus, covering the entire textiles value chain. Bharat Tex 2024 is built on the twin pillars of trade and investment with an overarching focus on sustainability. Earlier, Prime Minister walked through an exhibition. The 4 days event features over 65 knowledge sessions and has a dedicated pavilion on sustainability and circularity, and indie heart fashion presentations will also be held. The pavilion gives opportunity to the digitally empowered artisans of India who can sell their handcrafted products at India Made portal.
भारत टैक्स का ये सूत्र भारत के गौरवशाली इतिहास को आज की प्रतिभा से जोड़ रहा है। भारत टैक्स का ये सूत्र टेक्नोलॉजी को ट्रेडिशंस के संग पिरो रहा है। भारत टैक्स का ये सूत्र स्टाइल, सस्टेनेबिलिटी, स्केल और स्किल के साथ इन सबको एक साथ लाने का सूत्र है। जिस तरह एक लूम कई धागों को एक साथ जोड़ता है, उसी तरह ये आयोजन भारत और विश्व के धागों को भी एक साथ जोड़ रहा है।
Later in the day, Prime Minister will lay the foundation stone, inaugurate and dedicate to the nation around 2,000 railway infrastructure projects via video conferencing. Prime Minister will lay the foundation stone for redevelopment of 553 railway stations under Amrit Bharat Station scheme. He will inaugurate Gomti Nagar Station in Uttar Pradesh, which has been redeveloped at a total cost of around 385 crore rupees. Prime Minister will also lay the foundation stone, inaugurate and dedicate to the nation 1,500 road over bridges and underpasses. These bridges and underpasses spread across 24 states and union territories. The total cost of these projects is around 21,520 crore rupees. These projects will reduce congestion, enhance safety and connectivity, improve capacity and efficiency of rail travel. India's Ministry of External Affairs has rubbished media reports regarding Indians with the Russian army seeking help for discharge. In a tweet, MEA writes, and I quote, "Each and every such case brought to the attention of the Indian Embassy in Moscow has been strongly taken up with the Russian authorities, and those brought to the attention of the Ministry have been taken up with the Russian Embassy in New Delhi. Several Indians have already been discharged as a result. We remain committed as a matter of top priority to actively pursuing with the Russian authorities all the relevant cases of Indian nationals for an early discharge from the Russian army." Thailand's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Panpri Bahida Nukara arrived in India's capital, New Delhi, on Monday for a 4-day official visit to India. Nukara will be co-chairing the 10th India-Thailand Joint Commission meeting with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar at Hyderabad House in the national capital on Tuesday. During his visit, he is also scheduled to meet Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. The Indian Air Force conducted the Balakot airstrike on February 26, 2019, targeting a Jaish-e-Mohammed facility in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region. Codenamed as Operation Bandar, it was in response to the Pulwama terrorist attack in India. An unabashed hard power show of capability and intent, Balakot airstrike carried out by IAF, a watershed moment in India's defence prowess, was carried out to avenge the martyrdom of 40 CRPF bravehearts on 14th of February 2019 in the Pulwama terror attack. Sakal Bhatt gets us more.
अभी पुलवामा हमला हुआ तो भारत के वीरों ने जो काम किया, ऐसा काम दशकों तक कभी नहीं हुआ। हमारे वीरों ने आतंकियों को उनके घर में घुस करके मारा।
The Balakot airstrike carried out by the Indian Air Force marks its 4th anniversary on February 26, 2024. It was a punitive strike conducted by Indian Air Force on Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist facility in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region, conducted on 26th of February 2019. Codenamed Operation Bandar, it was in retaliation for the Pulwama terror attack of February 14, 2019. On 14th February 2019 afternoon, martyrdom of 40 Central Police forces shook the entire nation. Jaish-e-Mohammed suicide bomber rammed an explosive-laden car into a CRPF convoy at Lithipura in the Pulwama district of Jammu and Kashmir of India. A week and few days later, Indian forces avenged this dastardly terror attack.
In an intelligence-led operation in the early hours of today, India struck the biggest training camp of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Balakot. In this operation, a very large number of Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists, trainers, senior commanders and groups of jihadis who were being trained for Fidaiin action were eliminated.
At around 3:30 a.m. on February 26, the Indian Air Force fighter jets flew from the Gwalior Air Force Base and entered into Pak-occupied Kashmir. The jets demolished the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror camps in Balakot in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. The entire operation lasted for about 21 minutes. Later the same day, the Indian government confirmed the airstrikes and characterized it to be the preemptive strike directed against a terrorist training camp in Pakistan. A total of 16 aircraft, at least 6 each armed with Spice 2000 and Crystal Maze missiles with penetrator warheads, crossed the line of control and flew into Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. They hit Balakot terror camp. Warheads were dropped on 3 targets in Balakot by Indian Air Force's Mirage 2000s. The target camp was approximately 80 kilometers from the line of control. Indian forces ensured 0 civilian casualty. India's out-of-the-box response displayed India's defense capability and affirmed its right to defend itself against terrorism. The Indian government described Balakot airstrike as an event of military precision and impact. Thus, in the annals of Indian history, Balakot airstrike serves as tribute to 40 martyred Pulwama attack bravehearts. Indian forces avenged that with a befitting response, ensuring that the sacrifices of Pulwama martyrs do not go waste. Balakot strike of 2019, 26 February ensured just that. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India.
India's Chief of Naval Staff commended the government's initiative, acknowledging its significance at the closing ceremony of MSME Defence Expo. Addressing the event, R. Harikumar praised the initiative, supporting Make in India and Indian Navy's self-reliance commitment. MSME Defence Expo 2024, which started on February 24th at the Pune International Exhibition and Convention Centre, aims to foster advancements in defence manufacturing.
I'm glad to see that so many of these MSMEs and startups are here. We as a Navy and as Bharatiya Nausena, we have got this Naval Indigenization and Innovation Organization. So we have been hand-holding them through the Swavilamban Seminar version 1, version 2. 18 contracts have been signed. Some, I think 10 or 12 products have already been proven, and we have signed contracts for those products to be supplied now. So there is a lot of things that we are getting from the MSMEs and startups. Some are world-beating technologies, some are first time being developed, and some are force multipliers. So therefore, we are seeing how we can use it to meet the postmodern requirements.
You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, strike by trainee doctors, crippled functioning of hospitals in South Korea. Refusing to abide by the demands of the doctors, South Korean government urges them to return to work. World Trade Organization will hold its 13th ministerial conference from today in Abu Dhabi. Liverpool clinched record extending 10th English League Cup trophy, beat Chelsea 1-0.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live and I'm Preeti. Let's continue getting you more international updates. Israeli delegation will depart this week to the Qatari capital of Doha to continue the talks over a Gaza truce deal. The follow-up would be taken up after the basic contours of a hostage deal for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza was agreed upon. The meeting was attended by Chief of Israel's spy agency, Mossad, and Domestic Security Service Shin Bet, along with mediators from the United States, Qatar and Egypt. According to the sources, a follow-up round would be held in Cairo. However, there is no confirmation from Israel, Hamas or Qatar on this. All right, let's get to updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russian forces will attempt to conduct another offensive in Ukraine in late May or summer. He added that we will prepare for Russia's assault.
Russia will prepare counter-offensive actions in the beginning of summer or at the end of May, if they can, that is. They will prepare, we will prepare for their assault. Their assault that began on October 8th has not brought any results, I think. We from our side will prepare our plan and will counter their actions. The critical moments will be the elections in the United States, and only then we will understand what will happen in regards to this after the elections.
U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan underscored the United States' commitment towards delivering of weapons and ammunition to Ukraine rapidly and efficiently on Sunday.
The United States will continue alongside our allies and partners to try to get Ukraine all of the tools and capabilities that it needs to be able to conduct this fight as rapidly and as efficiently as we possibly can.
Hungary is expected to ratify Sweden's NATO accession on Monday, clearing the last hurdle before the historic step by the Nordic country. Sweden applied 2 years back to join the NATO in a historic shift in policy prompted by Russia's full-scale conflict with Ukraine. Hungary was the last member of NATO holding out Sweden's application. Hungary's Prime Minister met Swedish counterpart on Friday and said that he had managed to rebuild trust. Earlier, Finland became the 31st NATO member last year. Finland's membership was the result of an 11-month process that began after Russia's offensive in Ukraine. All right, turning focus to U.S. now. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is moving forward with campaigns that challenge current President Joe Biden. It is not yet official, but he is the presumptive Republican Party nominee after winning the latest primary election in South Carolina against Nikki Haley. Our correspondent Caroline Malone reports from Charleston.
Well, Nikki Haley hasn't admitted complete defeat just yet, despite having lost the South Carolina Republican primary to Donald Trump. In her concession speech that she gave late on Saturday night, she said she's a woman of her word and she had promised to carry on campaigning and to give the Republican Party voters an alternative, an option that's not Donald Trump. And she says that's what she's going to do. In fact, she has 7 places on her agenda to visit and campaign at over the next week and a half. Now, in terms of the results itself, she actually did fractionally better than expected. In the final tally, Donald Trump got about 70% of votes. Nikki Haley just under 40%, so she lost by about 20 points, which is slightly smaller than polls had predicted that she would, saying she might lose by as much as 30 points. However, Donald Trump very much still the winner in South Carolina and very much likely to be the presumptive Republican Party candidate for president going forward. We'll see more of that on Super Tuesday. That's a day on March the 5th when we have 16 US territories and states holding their primary elections to decide on their party's nomination for presidential candidates. Donald Trump, again, likely to do well in those states, and then it will become almost certain that he is the Republican Party's choice. However, Nikki Haley may still pick up some delegates. She may gain some in places such as Texas, where she still does retain some support. For Donald Trump, though, moving forward, he is already calling it certain, saying that he is the Republican Party's candidate and moving gender items towards campaigning against President Biden right now, calling out President Biden for what he calls bad action on the economy, saying he's going to fix the economy for people, also crack down on border security. Caroline Malone in Charleston, South Carolina for DD India.
After getting defeated from Donald Trump in South Carolina, Nikki Haley looks ahead to Michigan and Super Tuesday. The Michigan presidential primary will be held on Tuesday. The candidates on the Democratic ballot are Joe Biden, Tremaine Phillips, and former candidate Marianne Williamson. The Republican ballot includes Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. With his win on Saturday in the first in the South contest, Trump has now swept every primary or caucus on the GOP early season calendar that awards the delegates. His performances have left little maneuvering room for Haley, his former UN ambassador. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro gathered thousands of supporters amid accusations he plotted a coup to stay in power. Former Brazilian president called the rally after being targeted by a police raid earlier this month, investigating an alleged coup attempt. Police have seized Bolsonaro's passport and he is under scrutiny for their alleged plans to remain in power after losing the 2022 elections to President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Bolsonaro denied the accusations and said that he was being persecuted, adding that the draft decree was based on the Constitution. The government has warned the doctors to return to work or risk being punished for staging a week-long protest. Country's Vice Health Minister said the doctors might face the suspension of their licenses or other legal repercussions if they do not return to work by the end of this month. In South Korea, 2/3 of the nation's residents and interned doctors had walked off the jobs to protest government's plan to increase medical school admissions. The association has requested the government to cancel the plan saying that higher medical school admissions will only lower the overall medical education level in South Korea and will not solve the medical resources imbalance. The association warned of continued protests if the government insists on the policy. Polish farmers added their tractors to growing EU protests, blocking one of the key crossings into Germany on Sunday. Around 100 tractors lined up on the Polish side of the A20 north of Swico, blocking the border and forcing German-bound traffic through Slubice and over the bridge into Frankfurt Oder. The protest blocked other roads and caused heavy traffic. The Polish farmers said their protest would likely finish on Monday, but also mentioned as long as things remain unchanged, the protests will continue. Tuvalu announced Felipe Teo as its new prime minister after he was elected unopposed by lawmakers in the Pacific Islands nation. Felipe Teo, who was Tuvalu's first attorney general, has received unanimous support from the 16 lawmakers. Former Prime Minister Kauzia Netano lost his seat in the general election on January 26th amid a geopolitical tussle for influence in the South Pacific. Earlier, Tuvalu election officials said only one nomination had been sent to the Governor General. He said the Governor General would make an announcement after a formal vote by the lawmakers on Monday. The World Trade Organization will hold its 13th ministerial conference that begins today in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Trade ministers from across the globe will evaluate the functioning of the multilateral trading system and chart the future course of the WTO. Ahead of the meeting, the G33, a coalition of 43 developing countries, including India, urged the WTO to advance agriculture trade negotiations at the conference. They emphasized on the urgency for action, citing the Food and Agriculture Organization's projection of nearly 600 million people facing chronic hunger by 2030. The G33 also highlighted the necessity to preserve special treatment for developing countries and consider non-trade concerns in future negotiations. People of Thailand are pouring into Bangkok to have a glimpse of holy relics of Lord Buddha and his two disciples. They are brought from India by a 22-member delegation. Nearly 1 lakh devotees paid their obeisance to the sacred relics at the pagoda in Sanam Luang Pavilion on the Maka Buka on 24th of February. The 4 holy Piparawa relics of Lord Buddha and his disciples were enshrined on 23rd of February for public veneration. The holy relics will be escorted back from 19th of March from Thailand to their respective homes, concluding a historic and spiritually enriching exposition in Thailand. Animal rights groups in Bangladesh have welcomed the suspension of all licenses for young Asian elephants, allowing them to no longer be captured and taken into captivity. The country used to be a major home for Asian elephants, but poaching and habitat loss have led to significant decrease in their numbers. The High Court's decision aims to end the harsh training that has been inflicted on the animals, with about half of them living in captivity. The suspension comes after a young elephant was killed by a train for begging on the streets. US President Joe Biden will meet with congressional leaders on Tuesday to discuss funding the government as a partial shutdown deadline looms on Friday. Biden will meet with top Democrats and Republicans from both the House and the Senate. He also plans to discuss a stalled national security bill that provides assistance to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. The meeting comes as lawmakers remain at a stalemate to avoid a shutdown. Funding is due to run out on March 1st for some federal agencies, including the Department of Transportation, while others, like the Defense Department, face a March 8th deadline. On to sports now. In cricket, the 4th Test match between India and England in Ranchi hangs in balance after England bounced back with 2 quick wickets. Chasing 192 to win, the hosts started day 4 on 40 for no loss. Sharma and Jaiswal were scoring at a good rate. However, Jaiswal fell to Joe Root on 37 runs. Rohit Sharma struck half-century before being dismissed by Tom Hartley on 55 runs. Shoaib Bashir then struck 2 back-to-back wickets to remove Jadeja and Sarfaraz. Earlier on day 3, spin twins Ravichandran Ashwin and Kuldeep Yadav combined to rout England in their second innings, sharing 9 wickets on a turning track to bundle out England for 145 inside 2 sessions. The hosts are 2-1 up the 5-test series. English soccer club Liverpool clinched their 10th English League Cup trophy on Sunday, beating Chelsea 1-0 at Wembley. Virgil van Dijk extra time goal in the 28th minute of the extra time settled a tense clash that had ended 0 each in regulation. Jurgen Klopp clinched an 8th piece of major silverware at Liverpool and ensured that he will not end his final year at the club empty-handed. Klopp will step down at the end of the season, but victory in the League Cup has kept his team on course for an improbable quadruple of trophies. Liverpool currently leads the Premier League table and is still in contention for the FA Cup and Europa League. Luka Modric rolled back the years with a sublime late winner against Sevilla as Real Madrid moved 8 points clear at the top of La Liga. With England midfielder Jude Bellingham absent for Real for a third consecutive game, the contest looked to be heading towards a goalless draw. However, Croatia midfielder Modric curled in 7 minutes after his introduction as a substitute. Barcelona is on the second position with 57 points, followed by Girona a point further back at the third place. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Gaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.